So the book I read this week is Deep Work by Cal Newport, and this book has really opened up my eyes to seeing how we work these days, why we're only doing shallow work these days with 100 distractions, never really going deep into our work and really enjoying it or understanding it. Now, there are a lot of summaries about this book online that define deep work, give you the little tips that are in the book. I'm not going to cover those things in this summary. What I want to cover is the 3 things that surprised me from reading this book, the things I didn't expect to find in this book. The first thing was that deep work can actually make you happier. And this is true when you think about it. When do you feel more satisfied with your work? When you're doing a bunch of small things, when you're answering emails, checking your social media, and working on a bunch of small projects, or when you're working on one big thing, really concentrating on it, going deep into it, understanding it. We feel true satisfaction when we work on a big project, focus on it, and work on that one thing. But what's sad is that deep work is not the norm anymore. The norm for us is to be distracted. The norm is to have your phone there, to have your email open, to have everything distracting you all of the time. And we need to switch that around. The norm needs to become doing deep work, doing really satisfying work that we enjoy with little excursions out of that into distraction, not full-time distraction with small bits of deep work in between. The second point is that deep work is actually more valuable than all of the small little other things that we do. And if you think about this, this is really true. What's more valuable in your job? What's more valuable in your life? The big projects that you focus on and you really give your attention to, where you really focus on it and you find a solution, or all the small things you do, all the little urgent things you do. What's more important? But the second part about this that actually surprised me is that deep work isn't the norm, as I've said. You're going to set yourself apart from everyone else at work if you do deep work, because most people can't do it anymore. The distraction is too satisfying. It's too easy to just go for the distraction, completely go off of track, and then try and go back again. If you're able to do an hour of focused deep work, you're going to do in that 1 hour what takes other people 2 to 3 hours to do, because you can focus. The other people are doing 20 minutes going there. Oh, where was I? And they're going back and forth all the time. If you do deep work, that's much more valuable, and you're setting yourself apart from everyone else in your peer group or at work. And then the last thing that I wasn't expecting from this book is that he actually says that it's important for you to take breaks. Deep work is really important, but it's very intensive. And he says in this book that most novices, people who are just starting out, will only be able to do about an hour of deep work. And the really experienced guys can do up to 4 hours of deep work in a day. But after that deep work and in between those sessions, you have to take a break. And there are 2 recommendations. The first one is to do sessions of work with breaks in between. So I don't know if you've heard about the Pomodoro technique, but you work for 30 to 90 minutes and then you take a break. So 90 minutes of deep work and then 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, of social media, checking your emails, all of that stuff. So if you're in a job where you have to reply to emails, at a maximum you're taking 90 minutes to reply to that email, and that's not that bad. And then the second recommendation was to have a shutdown routine, and this is actually really valuable. What he suggests is that at the end of the day, you look at all the things that you haven't done, and you plan out for the next day how you're going to do, and then you say, I'm shutting down. Because what I find myself is a lot of the time, you'll come to the end of the day, you'll leave work, but there are things that were still sort of open-ended. And at home and during the night when you're trying to go to bed, you're thinking about these things, working through them. What am I going to do? How am I going to approach this? If you have that little shutdown routine at the end of your day, you're telling your brain, this is what I'm going to do, it's done, and shut down. So when you go home, you actually go home and it's done. You're not worrying about all those things all the time. And you get really rested. You're not thinking about these things and not resting. And that is it. If you want to really differentiate yourself from everyone else at work, if you want to have satisfaction in your job, I highly recommend that you read Deep Work. It's a fascinating read. You'll look at life and work a little bit different. And I'll see you guys again next week.